So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a ton of questions with you today. So if you have a notepad, if you have a computer and you want to write this down and work on it today, that's the whole purpose of today's session, is for you to work on your strategic plan. What I will do is I will put this presentation on SlideShare later today, and I'll make it available to Martha at the chamber. It's too big to email because I use a lot of pictures when I do my presentation, so I can't email to you, but I will share it with anybody that wants it. So if you're not on SlideShare, it's through LinkedIn. Who has LinkedIn here? Guys in the corner. Look at these two rebels back here, right? They're by themselves. Okay, so if you have LinkedIn, you can get SlideShare. If you don't have LinkedIn, just grab a free account. You can go onto SlideShare as well. And SlideShare is a great tool because there's thousands of great PowerPoint presentations on there. So SlideShare is a PowerPoint sharing mechanism. And I've found wonderful presentations on there that have given me a lot of information. So I'll make it available on there. And my partner Neil and I have a couple of dozen on there, so you could look at all of them, okay? Also, this is your session, this is not my session. So if we get to a part and you want to ask questions, or you don't understand why I'm asking that question, or we want to have a debate, that's fine. Let's discuss it, okay? Because this is for you. So the first slide is 7 reasons strategic planning initiatives fail. The wrong people or the right people in the wrong roles. So how many of you in this room have staff? Most of you. So finding and keeping good people is one of the top challenges we hear from business owners in Niagara. So it's all about, you have the right people, and if you do, are they doing the right things? Your plan is too vague or it's unrealistic. We see that all the time when we look at companies' strategic plans or marketing plans or business plans. They either don't have enough information, or they are so unrealistic that they'll never be able to achieve it, so that they become discouraged. There's no story. Your plan has to tell a story of what you're going to try and do. So it gets people, your staff, your customers interested in what you're doing. Are you measuring anything, or are you measuring the wrong things? And we'll talk about that. Plan is not integrated. What I mean by integrated is, have you looked at all aspects of your business, not just one aspect? So if you make wine, are you just looking at the wine, or are you looking at the total experience around the wine? The plan is not given enough time to work. We've seen many people that, well, it's February, my plan's not working, so I better change it. Okay, what have you done with the plan? Have you given enough time to work? And then also, are you and your team constantly updating your skills? So not just your team, but are you looking at your own skill set? So these are things that we have seen that have been the demise of strategic planning. Any questions about that? So this is what we're going to talk about today. The one-page strategic plan has 3 sections to it: analysis, planning, and execution. Pretty simple. And that's the purpose of this, is to simplify planning, simplify it. But the thing to remember about a strategic plan is it's only as good as its execution. Anybody can do a good plan. We've seen lots of great plans that have failed miserably because no one did anything. So you have to make sure you're prepared to do something. So the first part is analysis. I like this cartoon. How can I trust your information when you're using such outdated technology? So again, are you analyzing your business? Are you looking at it from a different set of eyes? So what's involved in analysis? There's 6 sections we're going to go over this morning. Your capabilities, your vision, your market, your processes, your numbers, and your people. Okay? Now, I'm sure there are other things that you can look at in your business, but we have found that as a busy owner of a business, even if you have staff, you're wearing multiple hats, you don't have months and months to work on your strategic plan. This is something you might like to get finished in a couple of days. So these are the most important things for you to focus on. And keep in mind, you will never write a perfect plan ever in your life. So if that discourages you, I'm sorry. You will never write a perfect plan, because there are things beyond your control. Did anyone predict this weather? Right? I have clients that sell windows. They can't sell a window in this weather, so they didn't predict this. So you can't, there's things out of your control. Your competitor, you can't control what your competitors do. You can't control what your customers do. Okay? So let's look at the first one, capabilities. these are two key questions you need to ask yourself. The first is, what can you do yourself? What are you good at? I just listed some of the key areas of your business: sales, marketing, operations, administration, finance, HR, and IT. Yes, there are other departments, I know that, but these are the key ones. What can you do well yourself? And you have to be really honest with yourself. And then what do you need to outsource? Okay, so this is a tough question. Well, I can't afford to outsource. Okay, but can you afford not to outsource? So again, you need to look at what do you do well and what makes you money. So I'll give you an example. In my business, I concentrate on sales, marketing, operations. I outsource IT. I'm basically HR. And I outsource finance and bookkeeping. So I outsource that stuff. And it frees me up to do other things. Because I came to the realization that I'm not good at those things and they don't make me money. So the time I could be sitting there doing my bookkeeping, instead I could be making phone calls or meeting with clients or speaking to a wonderful group like this, right? So what do you need to outsource? Then the next question is, where do you find outsourcing? Well, the Chamber is a great source to find companies that are great, but also you can talk to your customers and you can talk to other people. So part of your capabilities is also building your network. Who do you know that you can rely on and you can trust? Next, we go to your vision. How many people have a written corporate vision for their business? Okay. What is it?
Good question. It's too long.
Okay. Can you cite yours?
Not offhand.
Okay. Can you cite yours?
The long version or the short version? The short version is to help successful businesses work smarter, not harder.
Okay. Very good. Many companies have a plaque on their wall that says, "We will strive to achieve maximum customer satisfaction by delivering the highest quality." Throw up. It's a bunch of garbage. It's horrible. It doesn't mean anything. Okay? What do you think a vision is? Somebody tell me, what do you think vision is? There's no wrong answer.
Something that creates value.
Absolutely.
It's your roadmap to the future.
Your roadmap to the future, right. What else?
Your inspiration to achieve your goals.
Absolutely. So right now, do me a favor. All of you, close your eyes right now. Don't worry, I'm not going to put anything on your heads or smack you. Close your eyes. Picture your business 12 months from today. Can you do it? Is it different than it is today? That's what a vision is, okay? So picturing your business, what does it look like? Your vision should inspire not only you, but your staff and your customers. That's what a vision should do. If you can't see it, no one else can see it. So just like the word vision means vision, I have to be able to see your vision. Okay? So let's get into some questions about vision. The first one is, what are you great at? If I look at all the things you do in your business, what are you really great at? And be honest with yourself. You can make a list, but what are you great at? The next question is, what are you known for? And this is a good question to ask your staff and your customers and people, your peers. What are you known for? The next question is, what do you want to be known for, and do those two things match? What do you want to be known for is a really hard question to answer. So what are you great at? What are you known for? And what do you want to be known for? That's a great way to start a vision. And the last part is, does anybody here know what a BHAG is?
Big, hairy, audacious goal.
That's right. A big, hairy, audacious goal. That's from the book Good to Great. If anybody hasn't read Good to Great, read it. What it talks about is,
I didn't hear it.
Good to Great is the book.
Good to great.
Yes, by Jim Collins. I'll give you the short version. A big, hairy, audacious goal is typically a singular goal that the entire company can see what it looks like when accomplished and rallies around and gets behind and gets inspired by. Now notice I didn't say motivated, right? Motivation comes from within. You as a leader, you're going to inspire people. You're going to lead them, but they have to be motivated on their own. So what is your big, hairy, audacious goal? I'm going to put the man on the moon in less than 10 years and bring him home alive. That was a big, hairy, audacious goal. Who said that? Kennedy, right? Every person will have a computer in their pocket.
Bill Gates.
Steve Jobs.
Oh, Steve Jobs.
Every person will have a computer in their pocket. So those are big, hairy, audacious goals. Now you might say, well, I'm not going to put somebody on the moon. But what is something that sort of scares the crap out of you, but gets you excited too about doing what you do?
Eliminate everybody's phone cost.
There you go. That's a great, big, hairy, audacious goal.
It's huge.
And then how are you going to do it? That's why you put together your plan. But we have to shoot for something. And as my partner Neil has a great saying, it's not that I can't remember the quote exactly, but it's not that we shoot for our goal and miss it. It's that we shoot too low and achieve it. So shoot for a big goal. Go big or go home, right? What's that old saying? Go big or go home? So what's your big, hairy, audacious goal? I like the hairy in there. Right? This goal, should wake you up in the middle of your sleep from time to time. You should walk into work and go, holy shit, I don't know if I can do this. I'm sorry, I swear a lot. I apologize. But you should be scared. Okay? It should make you tingle. If it doesn't, it's not big enough. And many people, when you tell them your goal is, they'll go, that's stupid, you can't achieve that. Then you go, I've got a good one. Because then all you say is, just watch me, I'll show you. Okay, so that's your vision. Next, we're going to talk about your market. Who are your best customers? How many of you know by name who your best customers are?
Some of my customers, yeah.
Some of them? Okay, very good. In retail, it might be a little easier. But do you know who your best customers are? Has everyone here ever heard of the 20-80 rule? Sarah, the 20-80 rule? What's the 20-80 rule?
80% of your business is going to come from 20% of your customers. The
Right.
other 20% is going to come from the 80% that's left over.
Pretty much right. And it's not always exactly 20-80, but it's always a big does a small. So a small group of your customers will generate a big portion of your revenue. So do you know who they are? Are you winning them back? What would happen if you lost one of them? Typically, your top 20%, one customer, is worth 10 of the rest of them. Does anybody here know what share of wallet is? Share of wallet means whatever that person spends on what you sell in the course of a year, how much of that do you get? So if it's wine, I'm going to pick on the wine people this morning. But if I spend, well, if it's my partner Neil, if I spend $1 million a year on wine, but if I spend $1,000 a year on wine and you get $100 of it, there's opportunity for you to get more, right? So what is your share of wallet? When someone comes, so how many people here have a retail outlet? Okay, so you've done a lot of work to get me into your retail store. A lot of work. Spent a lot of money, you're building your brand, word of mouth, all that stuff. You get me in there. And then I experience whatever it is you offer. That's the easy part. Getting me to come back. So how are you going to get me to come back? So looking at your market and what is your share of wallet? How many of you have a database of your customers? Excellent. Do you segment them? We like to use ABCs. A's are my top 20%. B's, so my A's will represent about 80% of my revenue. My B's will represent about 18% of my revenue. And my C's will represent about 2% of my revenue. My C's I would prefer to give to my competitors.
Sorry, can you just run those numbers one more time?
Sure. My A customers are about 20% of my customers, but 80% of my revenue.
Right.
So they're my Pareto. My B customers are about 18% of my sales and about 60% of my customers. And my C customers are about 2% of my sales and 20% of my customers. And about 80% of my problems. So do you have a database? Are you collecting information on your customers? Are you segmenting them? Are you learning about them? So when people visit your store, yes sir?
So you ABC them based on the revenue you receive from them?
You can set your own criteria. It can be revenue only. It could be a list of many things. So in my particular business, it's not always just revenue. It could be chemistry with the client. It could be repeat business with the client. It could be referrals, geographic location, builds into. So I have sort of a list of things that make a client a certain level. But by the way, we don't take on C clients. So all our clients are awesome. So next is, who are you competing against? Now, I'm not a believer that you are paranoid about your competition and you have to stare at them all the time and wonder everything they're doing. But you should know who's out there. What are their strengths and weaknesses? What are they known for? Is it the same thing you're known for? Right? So who's out there? And then the last question is, what challenges are your customers facing that you can help them with? So don't just worry about the transaction. Don't be in the sales business, be in the customer business, okay? Don't worry about the transaction only. Build customers. You build customers by learning about them and becoming a bigger resource than just simply what the transaction is. I come in, if my wife goes to your store, she doesn't want to just buy a garment. She wants to have a good experience. She wants to get advice. She wants to have you recommend things. She wants it to be more than just buying a dress, right? Every one of your businesses is like that. If I'm going to buy a house, I could buy a house without an agent, right? No, but in theory, thank you. In theory, I could, but that's not the best way to do it, right? You got to go with the B team. That's how you do it, right? A little plug for you.
Yeah.
So again, really get to know your market. This is where you need to spend a lot of time. And when you're a business owner, because I'm a business owner too, you get busy running around doing things. You got to take some time and say, I'm going to go take a client to lunch. I'm going to go take a client to coffee. I'm going to get on the phone with them. I'm just going to ask them about what their world's looking like. I'm not going to try and sell them anything. I just want to talk to them. Get to know people. Processes. What is your system to generate leads? How many of you have a formal process to generate leads? Excellent. One person. 1.5. Okay, we'll give you 2 then. So that's good, but you need to have a formalized process for generating leads. Now, what does that look like? What do you guys use now? Websites, right? Use online is a great way to generate leads. There's many things you can do online.
For us specifically, we talk to a lot of, we talk to people at the Chamber and Innovate and other people of influence to help generate leads for us.
Absolutely. Nothing beats a referral, right? Word of mouth. And you have the best maple syrup in Niagara, right? And people come to your facility and they can either go on the tour or they can eat or they can do both. But what they do is they tell people about it afterwards, right? Oh, you got to go, right? Because it's fun.
So our events, when we're having events.
Absolutely.
During the festivals and stuff, such as beer.
Absolutely.
I do events for my customers.
Nice.
I put it out in Facebook or in
Social media, absolutely.
Social media.
So there's no right or wrong answer here, and every one of you is going to have a different formula. I can't say, here is the lead generation system that you should follow. There's no such thing. You have to work at it. And by the way, it will change. Like Patrick said, it flows, right? Is that what you said? It's fluid. Sorry, you said it's fluid. It's true, it will change. Where things used to work, they don't work as well. What is your sales process? So if you're in retail, your sales process is they walk in the door and you do a transaction. But if you're in direct selling, what's your process for generating the sale? What happens when you get that lead to closing the business? What is the process in between? Do you have steps? Have you thought about it? Have you formalized it? Do you know where you lose people? Customer experience. Customer service is a given. People want to have an experience with you, and it needs to be great, or they'll go somewhere else. Never before in the history of the world have we had more choice, right? I can buy what you sell pretty much anywhere. Is it as good? I don't know. I can find out about things that you do. I have access to so much, but I don't want too much choice as well, because then I become paralyzed. So I like. How many of you like to go to the same place repeatedly? Pardon me, if you get a good experience, right? You like that because then they start to know you. You become Norm from Cheers. Anybody remember that show? Hey, Norm, how's it going? So when you start to go to that favorite pizza place all the time, and you walk in and they know what you like, or you go to your dry cleaners, hey, you want extra starch in that, right? Like people start to know you. Well, how are you doing that? How are you creating that experience so when people leave, they talk about you? And they don't say, boy, that was horrible. Right? So they're going to talk about you. Now, the worst thing you want is indifference. How was that? All right. You're completely forgettable, right? So what is your experience? And how many of you have ever mystery shopped your business? Good experience, eh? Yeah. So mystery shop your business. Have people go through your business and experience it and report back to you. Training programs. So those of you with staff, every one of your people should be on a continuous learning program. What that looks like, I don't know. That's up to you to decide. But what programs do you have in place to coach them and teach them and mentor them?
Sorry,
Yes,
is that for both what your business is as well as self-development?
Absolutely. My favorite saying in the world is, when you're green, you're growing. When you're ripe, you're rot. So always stay green. Always be learning. So in my business, I read about 40 business books a year. I subscribe to a dozen blogs. I attend sessions like this. Constantly, I have to get better at my craft. That's a commitment I made to myself. And the people I work with do the same thing. So what are you doing? And the day you say, I already know all there is to know, is the day you should retire and get out of business. Because there's one thing you'll never know everything about, and that's human nature, right? That's your customer. Every day your customers will surprise, I didn't know they were going to do that. Right? People react and they do things differently. So be a person of wonder and knowledge. Always want to be learning. Always be open. Always think you can learn from anybody. I believe that. You can learn from anybody. And the last is innovation. Don't rest on what works. Innovate. Make things better. Challenge yourself. Challenge your people. Challenge your customers. How can we make this better? What can we do that's better? So last year, Neil and I, it was in January, we got a room together of clients, and we bought them lunch, liquored them up a bit, just kidding, some wine. But we bought them lunch, and then we spent 2 hours and we asked them 3 questions. We said, why did you decide to do business with us in the first place? Why do you continue to do business with us? And then the real painful question is, what are 3 things we could do to make your experience with us better? And for 2 hours, they beat the hell out of us. But it was wonderful. They gave us so much information that we weren't aware of. Things that we thought were this, were this. Things that we thought were valuable and important, they couldn't care less. But other things that we thought were sort of throw-ins, they couldn't believe we were doing it for them. So it was really eye-opening for us. We had 7 clients in the room, and we had a couple of vendors as well. Jim was there beating us up as well. By the way, that's Jim Wall of Infinity Video, in case anybody wants to meet Jim later. And it was a great experience. We had to have a lot of courage to do it, because some of them said some I don't want to say nasty things, but a couple of times I had to go, I need a minute. And winded. That was a tough one. It was right in the gut. So you should do the same thing. Challenge yourself.
All A clients?
Pardon me?
Were they all A?
No.
clients?
They were A and B, because again, we don't have C's. They were, some were new, some were long term with us. Actually, and then we had a couple vendors in the room, so it was a very good experience. And we're going to do it again this year. And it's going to become an annual thing where we invite people out and beat us up for a couple hours. But it really leapfrogged our business. Numbers. What is your cost to acquire a customer? You guys know what it costs you to get a customer? That's hard. I see everyone has the same face. Ah, damn, no, I don't know. I wish I had a magic formula for you. I really do. Sometimes you can say, I spent $10,000 on advertising and it generated X in sales, and therefore there's a percentage in there, but do you know how many customers that was? Again, I said, don't be in the sales business, be in the customer business, right? So out of that $100,000 in sales, was that 100 customers? Was that 10? Was it 300 customers? You don't know. What's your closing ratio? Do you guys know what a closing ratio is? Who doesn't know what a closing ratio is? It's okay to admit it. Closing ratio simply means of any business you ask for, you get. So if you ask for 10 pieces of business and you get 3, your closing ratio is 30%. Make sense? So what's your closing ratio? So if you have a retail store, for every 100 customers or every 10 customers that walk into the store, how many buy? Now maybe they don't all buy that day. Some people like to browse. Oh, what do you have? I've never been here before. I'm not prepared to buy today. But if I come back, right? That's okay. You brought me back. In the services business like we're in, it's usually quotes or proposals, correct? So of every 10 proposals I put out, how many do I get? So you need to measure that. What is your closing ratio? And you also can tie this into your share of wallet. I visit Anne's farm, and she has multiple services I can partake in. I can do the tour, I can eat. Ice skating still?
No.
No? Okay, but different. There's the tour, and there's the wagon, and all this stuff. But if I only buy one thing, she closed me, technically, but she didn't get my share of wallet, right? So you have to measure that. Sorry, am I keeping it? Just kidding. What's your break even? How many of you know what your break even is? You really need to know what your break even is. A lot of times we get caught up in sales numbers. I did $100,000 in sales. Excellent. I lost $50,000. Wow, that sucks. So what is your break even? How many of you are underselling your value? Right? What are you worth? That, you're kind of giggling, but it's a great question. And we had that conversation yesterday, right? What are you worth? What are you worth to a customer? What value do you bring beyond just a transaction? That's how you determine your worth. Because if I can buy clothes online, right? My wife can go online, shop, have them delivered. And, sit in her pajamas, coffee. What extra value do you bring? I can go to GoDaddy and build a website in an hour. What value do you bring? Right? I can go to the liquor store and buy wine. Why would I go to your winery? Why would I use you and not, what's those guys, Comfrey? Oh, it's a 4-letter word. Eh? You know what I mean? So why? Why you? What value do you bring to the table? Answer that question. Write it out. What's your target profit margin? Just so everybody knows, you're in business to make a profit. Unless you're in a nonprofit, you're still in business not to lose money. Right? You're in business to make a profit. I know we're Canadian with, I don't want to make a profit. I just want to be nice and helpful. No, you're there to make money. I'm sorry, but you are. You want to make a profit. So what is your profit margin? How often do you measure it and look at it? See, if you're in the services business, like I am, the only thing you have to offer is time. And it's a perishable commodity. That hour is gone. I can't resell it. Clothing, you can have inventory sit on the shelves. Now, it may go out of style. But if I don't sell it today, I can still sell it tomorrow. I can't sell that hour. It's gone. So what's it worth, right? How much profit do I need to make on that? What am I going to do with my profit? Am I sharing it with my staff? Am I reinvesting in my business? Am I buying that house in the Bahamas? What am I doing with it? Okay? You're here to make a profit. It's not a dirty word. Don't feel guilty about it. If you don't make a profit, you go out of business. Okay? So don't be worried about making a profit. People. Do you have the right people? Most of the work we're doing right now is around people. Can you look at my staff and tell me why they suck? And usually it's because they suck. The manager sucks. Your people will get better when your manager gets better. So the first thing is, do you have the right people? Do they have the ability to do the job? If they do, great. Then you can train them. Always hire for attitude, not aptitude. Disney has this wonderful interview process that they put people through. When you pull in the driveway to park to go into your interview, that's when your interview starts. They have actors interact with you from the time you get out of your car till you walk into the interview. So you walk in, you go, "Hi, and nice to meet you. I'm here for my interview." "Great, have a seat. Let's see how you did on your interview." And they start to roll the tape. And the person goes, "What?" They go, "Oh, an older gentleman asked you where the washroom was." And you said, "Get away from me, old man." Okay, that's not good. How many of you have ever seen garbage on the floor at Disney, on the ground? Doesn't exist. You saw garbage there by the trash can and you didn't pick it up. You swore at a child. You kicked Goofy in the butt. You know, whatever. But they interviewed. That's because Disney says we have to hire people that love people. That's all we care about. If you love people, I can train you to do anything. I can't train you not to be a jerk. Okay? So I'm being funny here, but it's true. Really look at your staff. Now also, you have to look at yourself. You have to look at your own, look in the mirror yourself and say, am I in the right role? Am I the right person to be doing these jobs? You can move people around. We had a client who was in manufacturing, used to make big keels for the bottom of sailboats. And the owner of the company and the general manager would not speak to each other. We sat in a room together and they told each other how much they hated each other's guts and how they wished each other was dead, and it was horrible. And I said, "Well, why are you guys still here?" "Well, I can't afford to quit." And the other guy said, "I can't afford to fire him." Okay, thanks for calling us in, by the way. We appreciate this. So we said,
client?
pardon me?
C client?
No, they turned, this was our first meeting, so it could have been a C client. We turned them into an A client. And from there, what we simply did is we put the general manager in a different role. And 3 months later, he was excelling, he loved his job, and things were much better. We put him in a sales role, we put him on the road, that's what he was designed to do. He was amazing at sales. Revenue in the company went up, interaction between the president went down, tensions went away because he was in the wrong role. Why was he made the general manager? Because he had been there the longest. No one should ever get a raise or be promoted because they've been there longer than someone else. Ever. But, "Hey, I've been here 25 years. No, you've been here 1 year, you just did it 25 times. You have not improved yourself. Your staff aren't, you get your paycheck based on your job description, right? What you do over and above that is why you deserve a raise. So when your staff asks you, "How come I'm not getting a raise?" What have you done to achieve it? Not deserve it, to achieve it. Okay? I get on a rant about that kind of stuff. So don't talk about unions. So what's your plan to find the right people? And how are you actively engaging with your team? We have a client called First Ontario Credit Union. They're a great company. They're a sponsor of many of the events with the chamber. And we just did a major survey with their 400 employees about employee engagement. It's a really big deal for that company, and they're really working hard at how do we get employees engaged. And how you get them engaged is you let them have a voice. You let them get involved. You don't just tell them what to do, you ask them how they can help. That's how you get people engaged. How are we doing for time? We're okay? Planning. So that first, all that stuff is just you doing an analysis on your business. A lot of tough questions that should give you a stomach ache. Maybe you open up a nice bottle of wine, you do it while you're working on it. Then you get to the part that everybody wants to start at. I want to start at the plan. Okay, I love this cartoon. This is a really innovative approach, but I'm afraid we can't consider it. It's never been done before. So again, when you're planning, it's important to plan, but nothing is more important than execution. So let's get to the plan. Written goals, not goals, written goals. People development, sales and marketing, measurement, and innovation. So let's get into this. So setting goals. What are your sales targets? Write them down. How are you going to achieve them? What kind of profit are you projecting? I'm a big believer, and so's Neil, that we work in 90-day chunks. Okay? If you look at your whole year and you say, I want to do $5 million this year, that's kind of a daunting number. It can make you go, I don't know if I'm going to do it. Break it down into quarters. How am I going to do 1.25 million? Okay, that's a much more manageable number. And you can break that down into months. So what are you going to do in the first 90 days? And again, written. Write this stuff out. Plans look great in our heads. Driving home, oh man, that's awesome, I'm going to do this. And you start to write out, and you go, well, that's stupid. That's not going to work. So write it out, think it out. What do you want to accomplish with your people? How many of you have one or two staff members that are just awesome? That you lean on and you count on, and well, how can you help them? How can you help them make more money? How can you help them have more fulfilling time at their job? Right? What would happen if you lost that person? That would suck. Personal development. What are you going to do? Write it down. What are you going to achieve? You can write it down for the year and then break it down into quarters. What are you going to do? I'm going to learn Mandarin. Excellent. Rosetta Stone, here I come. What are 5 key initiatives you are committed to? 5, no more. So what are 5 key initiatives you're going to commit to? What do you want to achieve with each of them, and who is going to champion them? So if you have staff, how are you going to get your staff involved to champion those initiatives? Any questions? People development. So again, who are your key people and how are you keeping them engaged? You keep them engaged by having them get involved. Include them. I'm not talking about you have to share your P&L statement with them, profit and loss. You don't have to share that with them. But get them involved in what your plans are. What are you trying to achieve? What vision do you have for them? Wow, I really see you becoming the manager of this store. Wow, really? Yeah, you're not there yet, but we're going to get you there. Here's how we're going to do it. Do all of your people have 90-day plans? Every company we work with, we make all of the staff put on 90-day plans. From the receptionist to the president. Everybody is on a 90-day plan. What are you going to do over the next 90 days to improve yourself, the business, your skills? What are you going to do? How are you challenging your people to be better? One way is don't accept mediocre. Don't accept, we've always done it that way. Don't accept that. Also, if you are accepting it, you can't expect your people not to accept it. You have to lead by example. So you have to set some standards. And what are you going to do with your staff that are disengaged? How many of you have students that work for you? Sometimes they become disengaged. It's just a job. Showing up late. It's really easy to inspire disengaged staff. Short term. But you have to have a conversation with them about why is it that they're so disengaged. Some people are just angry all the time. You can't help them. They are. Some people are. We have some clients where some of the staff are just walk in every day with a frown. We have to help them find another job. And we do. And we do that. And it's not, we don't say, fire them today. We help them find something that will make them not frown. Because they're not doing themselves any good, and they're not doing the business any good. Sales and marketing. What are you doing to better understand your customers? So every day, how are you learning about your customers and what they want? Pardon me, what they like? What are you doing? What is your clear and compelling message? And actually, I should have put the word story. What is your clear and compelling story, not message? Every one of you has a story. But if you bore me to death with it, I won't be interested in it. Right? So what is your story? Tell me, why should I care about your business? Why is it interesting? Like owning a winery? Like, come on, are you kidding me? There's got to be a great story behind that. I think they get hammered a lot. No, I'm kidding. But you know what I mean? Like, what's the story behind the winery? Like, I love wine, and I did this, and I went to Tuscany, and I saw that, and I blah, 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 blah. Whatever. Like, tell the story. Right? Every one of you has a story of why you started your business, why you love what you do, why you love to work with people. What are the best methods to deliver your message? Talked about social media. How many of you in this room are using social media for your business? How many use it personally? Okay. It's a good tool. It's not for everybody. Traditional advertising still works. Right? Events, direct sales. Like, what are you doing to deliver your message, your story? How will you generate leads and new customers? What's your budget? How many of you have a budget for sales and marketing? How many of you know how you came up with it? It wasn't just whatever I have left over after I pay my bills, that's my budget. Does anyone here have a formula for creating their budget?
I do a business plan for my business every year, so
Okay.
I have to map out the things that I want to allocate money to. So I have to think proactively about what do I want to do over the next. I have to look at a year in a snapshot.
So how do you come up with the number? Do you use a formula or do you use a percentage?
Well, I think about where the success is. So I think about the best methods to deliver my message and then how I can be more involved in those types of things. So have a stronger presence, whether it be attending things or advertising at those things. But I recap on previous years and think where were the best successes and then how do I gain an even better presence at those things for the coming year.
Excellent. That's perfect. Okay.
Thank you.
And lastly is whether or not you're using social media. I'm not here to promote social media, but you have to be available online. And that's more than just social media. That's your web, that's search engines, that's email, that's many different things. So what is your online presence? Does it match your offline presence? How many of you have visited a website? Oh, this is awesome. You walk in the store, you're like, what happened here? Did a bomb go off? Like it doesn't match, right? So, are they joined? Are they integrated? Any questions about sales and marketing? Measurement. How will you track where leads originate? So, if referrals is a big part of your business, how are you going to track that? How are you going to ensure they're coming? How do you track the progress of a lead? Right? Somebody walks to my retail store, how do I find out how I'm going to get them back or how many times they've been here? You guys ever heard of the term lifetime value? What's lifetime value?
That your customers become as long as you are in the business.
Right. That's very close. It's a customer is worth more than a single transaction. That's what lifetime value means. So if a customer typically spends $100 with you 10 times a year, that's $1,000, right? And if they visit you for 5 years, that's $5,000. So that $100 transaction is actually a $5,000 customer, right?
And a small retail business like mine, You don't have those fancy recording things. So it's almost like it's like your instincts that you know that Jane, let's say, that anytime she comes to your store, she will buy something or bring a friend, or she values your service and appreciates and will come back. But there is no way of knowing that she came 10,000 times or 5 times unless I have to write their name down when every time
Yeah,
they come.
we
And
have,
I work alone.
Yeah.
In summertime, there is no way for me to be able to do it, but it's all in my
Yeah.
my head. It's maybe old-fashioned way, but when you are a small business, you don't have those fancy things to measure.
But you know
Those
who they are.
A's and B's and C's that you said, I don't know if I can even do that unless I don't know.
Well, just remember, anything can happen. If you tell yourself it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. So you have to tell yourself, I'm not doing it now. I can investigate it and see if there's a way to do it. But if you make your mind up, then it's over. So I just want to caution everybody, I can't do that. Okay, your mind's made up. No problem. I'm not here to tell you have to do anything. You guys can go right back to your businesses today and keep going with what you were doing. That's awesome. But you came here for a reason, because you wanted to maybe look at something different. So with a small business like yours, we had a client, same thing. She had one employee, it was a little retail store. She got a recipe box and index cards.
Yes.
And she only tried to record her best customers' information. And then every month she would go through it. And then when they would come back in, she'd go, you know what, you bought that blue dress 3 months
I
ago?
have that.
And they're like, yeah, how did you remember that? And then
I do
it
that.
elevated the
Yes,
experience they
I
had.
do that,
Yeah.
That's a start.
Yeah, absolutely. How will you measure your online activity? If you have a website, make sure you have Google Analytics attached to it. It's free. It's a fantastic tool. Social media is very easy to measure. And then again, how will you measure your customer service? Mystery shop yourself, right? If you have a retail outlet, I can't emphasize that enough. Have it mystery shop. Yes, sir.
Do you know what the statistics are of people filling out surveys?
It's not very good.
How do you get them to engage more?
Well, surveys are tough because the longer the survey, the less amount of people that will do it. If you incentivize the survey too much, then you don't know if they're just telling you what you want to hear. I'm a big believer in, if it's possible, to have conversations with people and not, let me ask you about my business, have a clipboard, just a real honest conversation with people. And especially your better customers. Really get in there and find out what they're thinking, why they shop from you, why do they continue to shop from you, what could you do that would be better. And sometimes we're afraid to ask that, well, want you me to lower my prices? No, good customers aren't asking you to lower your price. They come there for a reason. They're already coming to you for a reason and repeatedly. But if you could do something better, they're up for that. So invest that time. Any other questions? Innovation. How are you encouraging your staff to be innovative? Again, keeping in mind some of the greatest learning of our life comes when we fall flat on our face. So encourage mistakes, but pay attention to them. Make sure they're not catastrophic, but encourage people to try things and to push themselves to get better. What sections of your business need to be innovated? That's always a tough question. And how do you help your customers get involved with innovation? Right? You can have them taste new wines, or you can have them try new clothing lines on and tell them, what do you think of this stuff? You can have them be like little beta groups for you. Execution. This is the most important part of your plan. This is where 90% of plans fail, is in execution. Because your plan can change. And even if your plan isn't 100% right, and you still work really hard at it, you're still going to see movement in your business. It's where execution, I got busy, right? Busy is a 4-letter word. It's a made-up word. It doesn't mean anything. Busy is an excuse. That's all it is, right? There's no such thing as time management. There's priority management. So you want to manage your priorities. That's what this plan is going to help you do, is put your priorities in order so that you're focusing on the things that matter most to your business and will have the biggest impact. The execution of an idea is always more important than the brilliance of the thought. I truly believe in that quote. I have no idea who said it, but they were pretty smart. So you and your staff and your colleagues and your network can help you come up with 1 million cool ideas. But 1 million cool ideas unexecuted are worthless. So make sure you're focused on the execution part. Every day you're doing something. So 4 ways to execute your plans. Here are 4 little tools that we use. The first is a 90-day plan. So I mentioned that a few times today. This is an outline for a 90-day plan. Starts off with clear roles and expectations. One of the biggest reasons we see why staff fail is that the expectations of the staff and the manager are not aligned. So we'll go into a client and we'll sit down with each person that works there separately and say, what's expected of you? What do you expect of your supervisor or manager? And then we'll look to see if there's a match between the two. You can do the same thing with your customers. What do they expect of you? What do you expect of them? Is there a match? Your business skills. What areas in the business would you like to be better at? Your personal skills, attitude, influence, leadership, whatever. What do you want to improve at? What resources, tools, or help do you need? I really need to hire someone, right? I really need to take a course on this. I really need to get a better computer. Customer service, which should say customer experience, I think. But how are you going to do that? And then account activation. What existing accounts do you want to grow? Past accounts do you want to reignite? And new accounts do you want to target? Be specific about it. How do you want to do this? Another tool we use, and this looks like a bunch of X's and lines, is called a communications plan. Along the left side, you put all the different tactics you're going to employ. Pardon me, from social media to paid media to events, speaking, whatever it is. And then you have your calendar on the right-hand side. You put when those things are going to be executed, so you can measure it. And then the 3 columns in the middle are basically where you can keep track of how much they're going to cost, what kind of size you're going to run, and do you have to outsource it to somebody? You're going to do it yourself. This is a great little tool, and then we usually print it on 11 by 17, and you can put it up in your office, and you can look at it. And we did this in Excel, and you can change it as it goes. It keeps track of your budget, how much you're spending, what's happening when. Accountability partners. I love this picture. Accountability partners is a great concept. You guys could do it today if you wanted to. What you do is you find another individual that you respect and you trust. Could be in your business, could be outside your business. I belong to a mastermind group. Anybody here ever heard of that? So I'll give you a real quick story of what a mastermind group is. There's a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's a great book. It's not about getting rich, by the way, but it's about how your thoughts, Napoleon Hill. It's how your thoughts create your actions and your actions create your results. So if you think negatively or you can't do something, that translates into what you do, which translates into your results. Pretty straightforward, right? So part of his development to becoming successful was he would meet every week with a group of entrepreneurs that were better than him at things than he was. So if he was really good at sales, he would have people in finance and HR and whatever around him. And he would meet with these people once a week, and they would challenge each other on their their businesses to get better. I meet with my group once a month for 3 hours, and it's a commitment that the 5 of us in the group never break, and we're there every month, and it's set in stone, that those dates are set. And in that meeting, it's like Las Vegas. What happens in that meeting stays in that meeting. So you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. It can be personal, it can be business. The great thing about the group is the people in the group can call you on your BS. They can help you beat up an idea to see if it has legs after they beat it up and if it's still valuable. They can just listen to you. Sometimes as an entrepreneur, it's lonely. We have no one to talk to. It's a great venting tool. So accountability partners is you could do it with a single individual where the two of you will hold each other accountable to achieve goals. And you will meet each other on a regular basis. And it's not a parent-child, like, why didn't you do this? And they yell at you. But if you said, I'm going to commit to doing these 3 things by next Wednesday, and we meet next Wednesday and you don't have them done, I ask you one question. Why didn't you live your word? That's painful. I didn't keep my word. Because if you don't live your word, you have nothing else. So accountability partners is great. You could have your staff do it with each other. You could do it with another colleague or another business owner you know. You could do it with, I don't recommend you do it with your spouse. That can get dicey. But find an accountability partner, and it's a great tool. And it pushes you to achieve things because you know you made a promise. Weekly meetings. So I strongly believe that you should have your staff together for a weekly meeting. It can be 15 minutes, it can be an hour, it can be whatever, but you should have everybody together once a week. You can call it a huddle, like Toyota has a daily huddle, right? 7-minute huddle every morning. Always have an agenda. Everyone in the meeting must report back on their 90-day plan and specifically what action they have taken and what's happened and what are the next steps. So everybody in that meeting is on their feet. Not only are you making them accountable for what they promised they would do, you're teaching them leadership skills, you're teaching them or helping them develop their character, you're teaching them confidence, right? Never let it get personal. Like our client where they said they hated each other, we had to get that out of the way. Everyone at the meeting must make a commitment to achieve something. So you never leave that meeting without everyone in the room committing to do something. And hopefully it's tied to their plan, to their 90-day plan. And then you don't leave the meeting until you set a date for the next one. Okay? So the length of these can vary. It doesn't have to be, always has to be an hour. Some meetings might be 10 minutes, some might be an hour. Depends on what has to be discussed that meeting. The agenda might be long, might be short. The purpose is you make it a priority to do this every week. And everyone in the business knows they're going to be called upon and accountable for what they said they would do. That starts to percolate through the whole business, and people become proud of what they do. They have more attention to detail. They want to achieve. It also gets rid of your deadwood. The staff that just have a bad attitude and don't want to do it, they'll quit. They'll leave. They'll find another job. That's not bad. Sometimes it's painful to lose them in the short term. I have to do more work. But you were probably doing more work anyway. I like this. If you wait too long for the perfect moment will pass you by. So, starting today, what are you prepared to do differently? I'd like to go around the room. Do we still have a couple minutes?
Absolutely.
I'd like to go around the room. We're going to take a minute. You write it down if you want, but what are you prepared to do differently based on what you thought about today? Okay, so I'm going to give you 60 seconds. Then we're going to go around the room and I want you to say, and I'm going to write them all down so I can call you all and hold you accountable. Okay. But I want you to do that. Think about it for a minute. What are you prepared to do differently? That includes you, Jim. Okay, Randy, you want to start?
Yeah, I'm going to split off one of my business units.
You're going to split off a bit.
Split off a unit into a separate entity.
Very good.
I'm going to focus on making a 90-day plan and measuring it. And trying to become a leader.
Very good.
Going to evaluate my role and the roles of other people in my company. I'm going to turn those goals into action, make my brilliant thoughts and make them actually do
Excellent, very good.
I'm going to empower my staff and attend another seminar on learning how to delegate.
It's tough.
Yes, yeah. And write down my goals and share them, and that will probably in turn help point number one, and a 90-day plan.
Very good. Anne?
I want to make the experience for our customers to be great, so to work on a plan to create that.
Excellent.
We have plans and checklists and structures for all of our clients. We have our client segment and everything else. Our challenge is employing the processes we have in place. In January is easy. In May, June, when we're at full capacity, is when these things start, the little things. And that's when our risk for that is that's when we're exposed to more clients, and that's when those things that we put back in place back here we're less able to keep up with.
Even more important.
Yeah, and so we've got people that work for us and with us, and we feel like everything should work, but we've never been able to capture that magic moment when everything just boom, boom, boom. And it's not a perfect business; it's always chaos, but that's always been our mission. But a lot of the stuff in here is exactly what we've been talking about.
It's very good.
So it's great.
We've been working on that customer experience thing for a while. We just need to employ it every time. You're talking about that, what it costs to keep a lead and what it costs to keep a client.
To acquire a lead, yeah.
If all you did was the customer experience, that cost would come down dramatically. It's just a matter of putting that darn
Yep.
thing in place every time. So that's what I'm working on.
Very good.
I think I have a couple things that I need to work on. I have a bad tendency of being a bit of a control freak.
I think everyone in this room who's an entrepreneur has that problem.
I like to think that, unless I do something myself, it's not going to get done the way I want it to. So I think I need to work on that a little bit. Maybe evaluate where I'm, most valuable to the company and delegate some of those other things off. And I think at the same time, thinking about making excuses or saying I'm too busy for things, I need to make the time to, do things that for development and everything else. So I think there's some good things.
Okay. Before you start, I just want to caution you all in your language, okay? When you say I need to, I'd like to, that's very weak. That's not a commitment. I will, I am, right? And the next thing you're going to do is you're going to put dates to these things, right? So this is your own commitment, because when you leave here and you go, I'm not doing it, you only lie to yourself, okay? You're not going to hurt me. So don't say I will, I need to, I'd like to. Say I'm going to, I am, okay?
I am.
All right, very good.
I have a plan, but going through today's exercise, I can see some holes that need to be fixed. So I am going to fix them, and then I'm going to make myself accountable to the plan as a whole.
Very good.
We're going to start documenting a lot more of our strategies and plans. Sort of in the past, we've had a lot of meetings strategically about the direction that the company needs to go and improvement and stuff like that. But very seldomly have we put a proper plan into place on paper, a commitment with a plan to follow up and measure the results and critique ourselves and that sort of stuff. So it's very easy to lose focus, especially like that gentleman back there said, when you get busy, everything falls by the wayside. And
Yep.
you go through a really busy quarter and you look back and you go, man, everything just fell apart. We got through it, but it wasn't strategic. So
That's right.
we're going to start committing to putting things on paper and following through that way.
Very
so
good.
we can hold ourselves accountable.
Very good.
I think in the short term, creating a long-term goal or a 90-day goal would be good for me. And in the long term, I think we need to look at customer experience analysis. Whether, I'm not sure what our plan will be, but whether it be a meeting like what you suggested or something like that. But those are the areas where I see good ideas.
What you did with your clients, that was cool.
I don't know if it was cool. It was pretty painful, but
Well,
no, it was a good experience teasing.
Well, since this is all new to me, all of this is like overwhelming, but I think the biggest thing I'm getting from it is it needs to be written down and you need to be able to look at it and be accountable for what you're doing. Challenge yourself first.
Very good. Go to the back, we skipped you guys, sorry.
You know what, I'm really gonna find myself an accountability partner. I've got an agenda and everything I'm gonna do in that week written down. And general work and going on with your day-to-day business kind of gets in the way of certain things that were there. So, you know, to have someone to go back and recap and go, did you get these 5 things accomplished that you were gonna do this week?
And you hold them accountable too,
Yes.
right? Your partners, remember, it's not parent-child, it's, they commit to you as well. Very good.
I think we'll be reinstating the staff meeting piece.
I think?
that piece. Well, I will be.
sorry.
I'm
I'm
trying
gonna call
to
you
weigh
guys
out
later
if
later.
that's the best option for us to actually sit down. I mean, it's a small office, right? So
Yep.
I call it a staff meeting. Maybe it's just time for us to strategize. Again, that's why I say I think we'll call it a staff meeting. Call it whatever you want. It's time for me to really involve my staff in the future of where my office is going, and that piece is missing right now from what we're doing. I mean, they know their role, but are they actively helping move the office forward towards where we want to be?
Very good. Jamie?
So what we do is we have weekly meetings every Monday, but I think I'm working on doing like the accountability partner, but just with my own staff. They are accountable to me and tell me what they're working on and how they're moving forward, but I don't necessarily tell them what I'm doing, and so they should be asking me to keep me accountable, so I'm going to do that with my staff.
Very good. Excellent. That's real leadership, by the way, not being afraid to have your staff holding you accountable too. That's real leadership.
Well, as I will be starting in a new organization on Sunday, I will be helping plan the 90-day plan with them and making everyone accountable and sharing and making decisions. And one of the things I will be doing will be continuing with learning, because I think that is very vital, and that's something that I have not made time for.
Absolutely. Very good. Very good.
You know, in my office, I had a board and I put pictures and I put notes and say, you know, this is what you're going to do, this is what I wanted to do. But I have a feeling that that should be not a length of a year or 2 years, but it's like a 90 days once. I have to pull them off and then put the ones that I guess I have to do it within the 90 days.
Very good.
And also I am thinking that because I'm doing now and scrolling, find it easier with social media, Facebook, to send that Excel spreadsheet. I have a finance background, so I can really work with that. It was the Excel spreadsheet communication plan that you had. I think I will be able to use that as well. And quite a few things that you said, I had a start of it. It makes me feel good about that.
Very
I'm on
good.
the right track, but I have to do a lot of extra work on that.
Awesome. Perfect.
Well, I love the 90-day plan. Excuse me, I'm only 2 months old, and we always want our guests to have a great experience. So we keep saying we're going to have a meeting to improve everything, and that meeting never happens. It's our staff to get everyone there, but we're definitely going to start doing that now.
Excellent.
Definitely, for sure, every week. Every week. For sure, even if we have to do it half the time, half the staff, one day.
That's right. The meeting never stops. If
Yeah.
someone can't be there, you still have your meeting.
Absolutely, for sure.
Even if it's by yourself. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
You still have to have time to think and process your business. It's true. I have some of the greatest conversations in my life with myself, so. Who else am I going to talk to?
I'm going to be more specific and realistic with my goals, so that I am measuring these on a more regular basis, whether it be on a weekly for those goals or monthly or 90-day, so that I can celebrate those successes and
Yes.
not always whipping myself for the things that did not get accomplished because I was unrealistic. So.
Great point about reward yourself for wins. Very good. Thanks so much, everybody. If you want to follow me on Twitter, there's my handle. If you want to email me. What I'll do is I'll put this up on SlideShare later today, and I'll give it to Martha as well. And if you want a copy of the presentation so you can get the questions, and I'll make them available. Okay, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.